Hello world, welcome back to Flywheel Films and another video with the electric motorcycle, the Zero Ghosty. I'm taking Ghosty up to the top of this canyon, my canyon, Coal Creek Canyon. It's 10 miles from here up to the top. I don't remember the elevation game, but I'll put that right here. And we're gonna see how it affects the battery charge. You know, how much energy do I use going uphill versus downhill? And I'm also gonna test out some equipment here and see how I can film better. So, without further ado, let's go hit the canyon. All right, so I am off. There we go. And like I said, I am testing equipment. This whole week actually is me testing equipment for both the motorcycle and the Miata, and I want to see how I can better film videos for you guys. So this is all an experiment. I appreciate you guys joining in. So we left the base of this canyon with 72% state of charge on the motorcycle. Genuinely not sure what it'll use going up versus down, but we'll find out. But I just wanted to also show you guys the point of view, essentially, of riding this canyon. I love riding this canyon on the motorcycle. I love it on the Miata. And for reference, I don't know how the audio is going to sound. This is, like I said, a crazy experiment. But I just got a new set of microphones that I'm super excited to try. They are the Rode Wireless Me, or Go Me. I think it's just Wireless Me. So, gonna see exactly how they sound. And the big deal with these mics is dynamic audio gain levels. So even though it's ridiculously loud in my helmet, it's very windy, it's ridiculously loud outside, I'm curious to see if any of this audio is even remotely legible. This is probably a very typical canyon experience. You get stuck behind something inevitably big and slow, or sometimes small and slow. This is, after all, a regular road, lots of normal traffic. But you know what? I'm not trying to set any sort of record times here. In fact, for these tests, I'm trying to see how the battery would run in normal conditions. So I'm not speeding, I'm following the speed limit. And as far as, if you want to get really nerdy, I'm using a custom riding mode. So I set it to have the torque maximum, the regen maximum. So when I have off throttle, it emulates engine braking pretty well. And that kind of accelerates. The engine braking is more and more the slower I'm going, which is interesting. So it's kind of a dynamic regenerative braking setup. But then, yeah, I keep the torque maximum. So it's kind of a custom sport mode. Typically with Zeros, the sport mode will actually have the engine braking, like the regen, almost zero. So I like to have it maxed out fun, but also maxed out regen. And yeah, the suspension is also custom set up on this bike. Not custom, I mean it's factory, but it can be fully adjustable. And so, unlike the Miata, which is probably a bit more on the stiff side, I actually have this bike set up a bit more on the soft side. And that's partially because I'm not cornering hard with this thing. In fact, I really don't want to push it at all. I'm a very conservative rider. Maybe less conservative behind the seat of the Miata, but on the bike, I really just bought this to have fun. The canyons, commute to work on, ride as safe as possible. On that note, with these canyons, you should be aware of loose gravel. I mean, these are all surrounded by rocks. Rocks get picked up by cars, thrown into the lanes, and then what are you going to do if you hit some? So, especially around curves, you don't want to give it much power. You don't want to lean too much. It's just a balancing act. But this is honestly a pretty good place to learn riding, I think. Just take it nice and easy, nice and slow. Figure out what the balance does, how much lean you need in different corners. So that one, you know, is much stronger. This one's not quite as tight. But even now I can see debris in the middle of the lane, and that's the other thing. A lot of times debris will collect where cars' wheels are not, so on the actual lines themselves and even in the middle of the lane. So it can be safer to ride on the edge of the lane. A lot of gravel here. Ooh. And that was from a lot of flooding we had recently. All this edge kind of flooded. Just so much rain out here. So as far as equipment goes, I'm using the Rode Wireless Me, as I mentioned, and one mic and also the receiver is on the GoPro Hero 10, and then the other mic is using a lavalier that's going up into the helmet, and that's sitting inside my jacket, which is the transmitter. On my helmet is the GoPro Hero 9, so I'm mixing a 9 to 10. They're pretty close in technology, and everything I've got is basically bought on Facebook Marketplace, or the microphones I actually bought new because they just came out, so no one's really selling used ones yet. I will be so incredibly impressed if any of this works. As you can see, I can already tell that is shaking a lot, so I need to get an actual handlebar mount. Right now I'm using the OEM Miata door bushings and this like Velcro strap thing, which I don't think is very solid, if I'm being honest. The helmet mount works great. I've done some testing with that on other motorcycle reviews for YouTube in the past. Yeah, this one down here is a little bit a little sketchy, but it helps to have multiple camera angles for redundancy, as well as a way to cut back and forth, cut out other things without being distracting. So yeah, that's kind of what the setup is on the bike. I'll see how it works. This mic down here is shielded from the windshield, but it does also have a what's called a dead cat. I know it's pretty macabre for a name, but that's what the wind buffet things are on top of microphones whenever you see that. Fun fact. Now you can win trivia or something. But anyways, the car is something I'm also going to be testing this week. Figure out my setup for that, and I will film also how I shoot car videos, such as the one for my coilovers review. There we are. Made it to the top. So I'm going to pull off right up here, figure out where we're at with efficiency. So we are at 58% efficiency. So we burned 14% getting up here. But look at those views. That's the Continental Divide out in the distance. Absolutely stunning. Love it up here. So we are now going to turn back around and go back to my house and see what the result is. Burning 14% up here, I'm going to guess we'll burn 5% going down, maybe 6. We'll make it a total round trip of 20%, see how that looks. So, you know, with electric vehicles, you do burn less going downhill, and in some cases you even gain going downhill. I don't know if this is actually steep enough for me to gain going down, but we'll see. But I'm going to turn off this camera and just hyperlapse my drive back with the one on the helmet. See how it goes. Made it down to the bottom, and holy cow, that's wild. 56%. So I only burned 2% going down, 14% going up. So that's a total of 16%. That's nuts, yo. Hopefully, like, any of that turned out. I'll also be doing a video with the Miata soon on the gear I'm going to use involving filming that, including this little doohickey right there. All right, so there you have it. Quick cruise up the canyon with the Zero resulted in 16% state of charge being used. For reference, it's about 20 miles round trip, and it's uphill, obviously half of it, and then downhill the other half. The Miata, that would be about $4 in gas. The Zero, 25 cents in electricity. And actually free, because I charge it once a week at work for free. So this thing is a lot of fun, a really easy way to have fun, a cheap way to have fun, other than the cost of the bike. But you can buy it used just like I did, buy the Miata used just like I did. And hopefully all this equipment and stuff actually sounded and worked out okay. But anyways, thanks for watching a fun, quick ride up the mountain with the Zero. Yeah, let me know what you think. Let me know where else you want me to go. Again, I'm on the very west edge of Denver, so it's easy for me to get to anything in the mountains, and I'm curious to see how the Zero does with its efficiency going to all these places. I'm thinking, Idaho Springs, Mount Evans, Estes Park, Trail Ridge Road through Rocky Mountain National Park. Sky's the limit. I'm ready to have some fun on this thing, and I'll hopefully do a lot of time-lapse adventures with the camera on the future rides through the Rockies. Cheers!